The show began like any other morning on The View. The lights were bright, the crowd buzzing, and Joy Behar was in her usual mood, cracking jokes, stirring things up, and getting laughs. Blake Shelton was sitting across from her, relaxed, sipping coffee, flashing that easy country charm. At first, everything was smooth. Joy teased him about his new tour, his marriage, and even his Oklahoma accent. Blake played along. He's been in the spotlight long enough to handle a little ribbing. The audience laughed. The chemistry was light. But then, Joy crossed the line. She leaned back and smirked, saying, "You know, Blake, I don't get how someone from way out there in the sticks ends up giving interviews about culture and politics. I mean, do y'all even have internet out there?" The audience gave a few nervous laughs. Blake's smile faded. You could almost hear the air get heavier. He looked at Joy for a long second, calm but intense, and then said quietly, "You've got some nerve saying that on live TV." The studio froze. Joy blinked, caught off guard. A few gasps rippled through the crowd. Joy tried to laugh it off, waving her hand. "Oh, come on, it's just a joke." But Blake wasn't smiling anymore. "No," he said, "it's not. You can joke all you want, but when you start disrespecting where people come from, that's not funny. That's arrogance." The audience erupted in applause. Joy's grin faltered. For the first time, she looked unsure, and Blake Shelton wasn't about to back down. Earlier in the show, Blake had been the perfect guest. Charming, witty, giving funny behind-the-scenes stories from The Voice. Joy even complimented him, saying, "You're not like most country boys. You're actually pretty sharp." It was meant as a joke, but Blake noticed the dig. Still, he laughed it off, saying, "Well, we're full of surprises down in Oklahoma." As the discussion went on, Joy's tone shifted. She began teasing about Southern traditions, saying things like, "You people down south sure love your pickup trucks more than progress." The other hosts chuckled uneasily. The audience gave a small, hesitant laugh, but Blake stayed composed. "We love a lot of things," he said evenly. "Faith, family, freedom, that's progress enough for us." That's when Joy leaned forward, her smile tight. "Yeah, but some of that freedom stuff tends to go too far, doesn't it?" You could almost feel the audience flinch. Even the crew behind the cameras exchanged looks. Blake's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm. "You know, Joy, I came here to talk about music and my fans, not to be lectured about what kind of people we are." Joy laughed nervously, brushing her hair back. "Relax, Blake, it's just banter." But that word, banter, hit wrong. Blake's tone turned firm. "Where I come from, we call it respect. Maybe you should try it sometime." That one line flipped the entire energy of the room. The crowd cheered, Joy's smile disappeared, and the live tension was suddenly real. The camera zoomed in. Joy looked annoyed now, clearly not used to being challenged on her own show. "Oh, don't be so sensitive," she snapped, trying to regain control. Blake chuckled lightly, shaking his head. "Sensitive? No, ma'am. I just don't let people talk down to me, or anyone else who grew up the way I did." Joy rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, you country guys act like being criticized is a hate crime. That did it." Blake leaned forward, voice calm but cutting. "Criticized? Joy, you can criticize me all you want, but you insult millions of honest, hard-working Americans every time you talk like that. We don't all sit around big city studios looking down on everyone else." The crowd exploded. Cheers, whistles, a few people even stood up. Joy's co-hosts looked frozen. One of them tried to step in. "Okay, let's all take a breath." But Blake continued, still polite but firm. "I'm proud of where I come from. The South's not perfect, but neither is anywhere else. The difference is, we don't pretend we're better than everybody." Joy stared at him, speechless for a moment. "You really think I meant it that way?" Blake gave a half-smile. "You meant exactly what you said." The audience cheered louder. The energy was wild now. Joy tried to move on, flipping her cue cards nervously, but Blake had already said what everyone else was thinking. For once, Joy Behar had no comeback, and the viewers knew they'd just witnessed something real. After that heated exchange, the tension lingered like a storm cloud. Joy forced a laugh. looking straight into the camera. "Well, I guess Blake won that round, folks." The audience roared with laughter and applause, but everyone could tell Joy's tone had changed. Her usual confidence was gone. Blake smiled politely, nodding to the crowd. "I'm just speaking truth, that's all," he said, his southern calm returning. Joy tried to steer the conversation back to lighter topics, asking about his upcoming concerts, but the spark was gone. The chemistry had shifted. Every answer from Blake now carried a quiet authority. "You know," Blake said, looking at Joy, "there's something I've learned being in this business. You can joke about a lot, but if you lose respect, you lose everything." That line hit hard. The audience clapped again, louder this time. Even the co-host beside Joy whispered something that made her look down at her notes. Joy muttered, "All right, point taken," trying to laugh it off, but it was too late. The power balance had flipped. By the end of the segment, producers were already motioning for a commercial break. The crowd kept cheering, clearly siding with Blake. When the cameras finally faded out, Joy reached across the table and said softly, "Didn't mean to upset you." Blake smiled faintly. "You didn't upset me," he replied. "You just reminded everyone why manners still matter." The studio erupted one final time, not for the drama, but for the message. As soon as the segment reached its breaking point, producers in the control room were waving frantically for a commercial break. The tension in the studio was off the charts. Cameras zoomed in one last time. Blake Shelton sat back in his chair, jaw tight, eyes locked forward, while Joy Behar nervously adjusted her notes. Clearly rattled, the director's voice crackled through the headset. "Cut to break, now!" And just like that, the screen faded to black. But what happened after that moment would take the internet by storm. Within minutes of the episode airing, social media exploded. Short clips of Blake's fiery response flooded X, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Fans praised him for standing his ground. Finally, someone put Joy in her place. Blake Shelton just said what everyone's been thinking. The hashtags Blake Shelton and The View drama trended for hours. Memes, edits, and reaction videos poured in. Even media outlets like Entertainment Tonight and People picked up the story with headlines reading, "Blake Shelton shuts down Joy Behar live on The View." Audience erupts as Blake defends Southern pride. Meanwhile, Joy stayed silent for most of the day, a rare move for her. But fans noticed something telling. The View's official YouTube upload of that segment was mysteriously shorter than usual. Cutting right before Blake's comeback, that only made people talk more. By the next morning, the clip had over 3 million views across platforms. Comment sections were flooded with one message: respect never goes out of style, and as one fan perfectly put it, Blake Shelton didn't just defend himself, he defended every person who's ever been laughed at for where they come from. The video ends on a freeze frame. Blake's serious expression, the crowd erupting in applause, a silent reminder that sometimes one honest moment can change everything. What a moment, right? Blake Shelton showed the world that confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means knowing your worth and standing your ground with class. This wasn't just another celebrity clash. It was a reminder that respect still matters no matter who you are or where you're from. If you enjoyed watching Blake put Joy in her place with pure Southern calm, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next big TV showdown. We've got more unbelievable moments coming your way, from heated celebrity debates to the most shocking live reactions caught on camera. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Was Blake right to call Joy out, or did the moment go too far?